very brightly colored and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while.
We want to be free to do what we want to do.
Were Muhammad Ali and Sonny Barker, the president of Hell's Angels.
This is 1095.
So you're, as way of introduction, Benny, it would be great to, your story is somewhat famous. I know that, there's been documentaries. I know you're part of another one soon, but it'd be good to kind of just backtrack on some of your story. I mean, maybe from a question point of view, I mean, you spent 9 years in prison in Thailand, right? And
8 months.
9 years, 8 months, up until, and you got out when? 9 years ago. So it was.
Yes, 2010, 10 years ago.
And how did that come about? I mean, I've read, obviously we've got a mutual friend who wrote your story for City Life, James, a number of years ago, which kind of gives a bit of a brief on how you ended up there. But, maybe coming from the horse's mouth, you ended up in Phuket, the dream life, following a dream, and then you end up in a 9-year nightmare, effectively, yeah?
Yeah, everything started in Phuket. They wanted money every month. The police, immigration, all of them wanted monthly payment. And I was the problem maker. I didn't want to pay. So they called me many times in meetings, full of policemen sitting on the table and threatening me I have to pay. Why? I don't know. And then immigration came, tourist police came, and then I got fed up, And then they thought maybe they teach me a lesson. So they came to I had a big restaurant there, and they just asked me for a work permit. And I said, I give it for extension. They said, no, you don't have it. So they arrested me. But I had the documents from Thai language, I couldn't read that time. It says that part of 5, 5 means the extension. I didn't know that time. So they put me in jail. Morning, I bailed out. I brought my work permit, and the case was dismissed. So I went to the chief of immigration in Phuket and made complaint, and he just kicked me out. They talked very bad to me, and from there started. I complained. Later, I complained, and then they called me. They put a blacklist stamp in my passport, and I escaped from Phuket. Just took an airplane, came to Bangkok. They gave me 7 days to leave the country. And I came to Bangkok, I get a very, very expensive lawyer, and I sued them. And they didn't like it, So after a while, the lawyer, I think, got together with them, dropped the charges, everything. And then suddenly, one day I left the country, came back, they said, you are blacklist. So yeah, from there started. Then I came in, I changed my name. I came in, I sold everything I had in Phuket, and the house I couldn't sell that time. It was the name of company, and I followed the complaint, and they knew that I was doing it, and they didn't like it until there was 2 Iranian families. They were cheated by a Syrian guy. He was working with immigration. He took money from people that I make you visas, send you to Canada. And he took money from them. And then after the visa was finished, then he sent them immigration guys to arrest them and send them back to Iran. So yeah, then I helped them to complain to police, and this guy knew the immigration. They got together, and they used him as a, how you call it, like a scapegoat they misused him also. He didn't know it exactly. So he filed a complaint that I, together with another 5 Iranian, we extort him, which was a true story. That these five Iranian then called the guy. He came to the hotel room, and they said, you have to pay the money back. And the guy said no, and then they called the immigration guy, which I knew, one guy from Phuket. He came, he arrested the guy, took them to immigration, and they called me. They said, okay, he said he's gonna pay. I said, okay, don't make complaint, just take your money and leave. So everything was done. After they changed the story, that the day he went to hotel room, he was attacked, he was extorted. So they came to my apartment, they broke the door, they went in. When I came, they arrested me. They said my passport was fake because I changed name. So they brought me to the police station, and this guy was waiting me there when I came. Well, I didn't know him, I just saw one time a photo of him. Somebody showed me, do you know this guy? I said, no. So when he passed me, he saw my face. Maybe he didn't see me like an Iranian exactly. I have my grandfather was Russian, so with a green eyes. So he asked, where is the Iranian guy? And they pointed at me. So he came to the room. He said, what's your name? Where do you come from? I said, Benny, yeah. And I said, okay, wait. And then he stood there, he pointed at me, and all the policemen standing. Still, I have the photo still, a very funny photo. 10 policemen, me and him, and the judge say the plaintiff could point me out. Very easy. I was the only person standing there with 10 policemen in uniform. So the judge say, we can see from the photo that the plaintiff could easily point out the defendant. If even a child would say, who is the falang? Where is the falang? We would say this. So everything was a setup. And after that, the cases for the passport was dropped because the embassy came next day. They said, no, he's Swedish. They didn't believe I was Swedish. They saw that I just forged a passport or something. And then same time they told me, you have a new case, which is extortion. And they put me again in cell, and I tried to bail out. I couldn't bail out. So I went to prison. And I was very sick that time. So when they went to the hotel to investigate the incident, so I was in jail that time, the hotel room, they gave them the evidence that on 1st of September, nobody stayed in that room. So the story was lie, because the guy said he was robbed in this room, 1st of September, 8 p.m. So instead of they let me go, they changed all the story. They made new investigation, everything new. They changed the date to 31st of August. And they put one Thai guy also together with us. They said 5 Iranian and 1 Thai guy. And that Thai guy was the immigration who came and arrested the guy. So they told him that if you involve the case, we're gonna arrest you also. So he stood away. This was the story, And they just wanted money. In the start, they wanted money, but I didn't pay in the start. I said, why should I pay? I don't even know this guy. And when everything got serious, I paid the lawyers to give him money, and the lawyers took the money and ran away. So then I was there with a very severe accusation, armed robbery. And every time they postponed the case until I was angry, I had quarrel with the judge, I know it's wrong, but I was mentally like under pressure. 1 year, they postponed every 3 months.
Were you in prison? Were you in prison that whole time,
Yes,
or were you?
yes,
You just
all the time.
so from the beginning of that, once you're inside, you didn't get out again, because eventually the eventual case that they kept you in for. I mean, a lot of people go to prison and say, yeah, I mean, it was dropped, and there was a gun that wasn't even evidence, right? There was
no gun, no nothing. Yeah. In my case, there is no document, no evidence, and no witness, no eyewitness. Yeah. The 2 witnesses from hotel, they said that they saw 5 Iranian go out with this guy, which is the truth. He was arrested by immigration. They went to immigration. They changed a real story that they went to immigration with this guy as plaintiff, turned it back that we robbed him and we took him out from the hotel. And can you imagine which armed robber in the world would invite someone to his own room and rob him and let him go? And then the guy doesn't even go to police. He waited 14 days until he go to police. When he was sure that police was behind him, immigration didn't like me, they wanted to charge me, and they wanted me to stop complaining against them. So he complained. So at the same time he complained, same time police was in front of my door. So they knew where I lived when he complained. It's not a coincidence, Somebody robbed you, you don't know him, and then you go complain after 2 hours there in front of his room. And I'm a foreigner, I don't have an address in Thailand. So everything was a setup, yes.
Yeah, and eventually it was dropped. What when you finally got out? I mean, you did 9 years, right? Before you actually. I mean,
9 years, 8 months. They gave me 21 years, 14 months. 21 years for armed robbery, 14 months for a gun, non-existent gun.
For a non-existent gun. Yeah.
Yes, and they said that where defendant says I had no license to possess a gun, it means I had a gun without license. This is the verdict.
So most people, most people that know about Thai prisons know it from, the National Geographic shows like Banged Up Abroad and Locked Up Abroad and stuff. And, you see these horror stories, and I think the majority of people that go in there, they that do come out, I mean, have horrific stories. And you obviously have, horrific stories, and we might cover a bit of that. But also your journey to kind of combat what was going on is pretty inspirational as well. I mean, you ended up learning Thai, becoming a lawyer from within prison, studying Thai law, putting cases up against many of the people that had put you in there, fighting for rights of prisoners. I mean, there was a bunch of things you did, right, across that journey that are pretty inspirational for anyone dealing with a long prison sentence in a country where you didn't speak the language when you got in, right? You were.
I could speak, but I couldn't write. I could read some, but I couldn't write.
So you educated yourself in Thai law from within the prison, yeah?
Yes.
And how,
yes.
How did you go about that? I mean, did you have access to the law books, and like what's the journey to become a lawyer from inside a Thai prison as someone who's not Thai?
No, I started with my charge paper, so I read it every day. I couldn't understand so much, but I tried to read what are the charges, and I couldn't get it. They said I robbed, I had a gun, and I didn't understand what. So every time we went to court, I was happy. No, I would know what I have done. I would tell the judge that this is not. So they postpone every time. So this made judge not happy with me because I was angry at judge. Why do you postpone? And they didn't like it. They saw me as a criminal. Shouldn't talk, should keep quiet and get your sentence. And then when we back to prison, every time I wanted to know what's going on. So I asked many people and they couldn't answer much. So I bought the law book. It was a small pocket law book. It was broken. I bought it for 3 cigarettes. I gave them 3 cigarettes and I put some glues. So I started to read this one. It was a criminal code, the Criminal Act of Thailand. 398 paragraphs. So I tried to read every paragraph from the start. So this was the start, the law. And I went to many people who studied law in the prison and talked to them and tried to ask them questions. And nobody understood. When I went to court, the judges or other lawyers, other cases, they asked me, what's your case? I said, 5 people armed robbery. Where are the other 5? No, I'm alone. So everybody was laughing at me, even the judges. So why did they bring you here? Where are the other 5? I said, there are nobody. So these things made me more curious to know why they can keep me so long here for nothing. Because I knew myself, I've never seen the guy in my life. There must be something wrong. And I knew that he was never robbed. Because the incident he says, it was just the incident to arrest him and bring him to police station. So how can they change everything so easily to look at the armed robbery, If somebody dies, they arrest the wrong person. This one I understand, because the dead body is there. But in my case, nobody touched him. Police arrested him or invited him to immigration and they went back. So I started to read this book, and then I borrowed the book from the university from them. So I started to read, which I couldn't read in the start. I could read maybe 1 line from 1 page, maybe it took me 1 hour. So then I start to teach English. My English is not perfect, but for them was good. So I was teaching English in the school and learning Thai from them. So same time I told them this, what is Thai? And I was studying one day about 18 hours. I was studying so much, people thought I was crazy. He said, I was sitting whole day with the books. Come play, come do this, do that. I said, no. And I was writing every day. So after about a year, I was sentenced to 22 years. And then I said, oh my God, there's something wrong. Then I paid to the many guards to buy books for me from outside. So I brought these books and I read. So all this reading came to conclusion that I was fluent in Thai and I could read and write, which now I can write as good as the other lawyers, because when you do the exam, everything is writing it high. You have to explain, like, this guy was killed. You have to explain so that the reader can understand. Why do you decide that he's guilty or innocent? So the time must be very fluent. Yeah. Then I applied to university, and okay, I had problem. I failed many times, but then I could pass one by one. Yeah, and I'm very linguistic.
Did you represent yourself? You can't represent yourself in Thailand, right? So you still had to work with Thai. Did you work with Thai lawyers, or you represented yourself?
No, the first case I was sentenced before I could know about law, so that one was done. But then I have been sued in Thailand over 25 cases since I was released. So I defended by myself, all of them. And even judges in the court, some of them, they love me, And one big judge one time stood up. I remember it was the red chairs trial, about 100 people in the room, all the red chairs. And my trial was same time with the same judge. He was a big judge, very nice guy. And he stood up and he told all these red chairs, he said, there are 40,000 lawyers in Thailand. There are 20,000 of them, they work as a lawyer. Only 10 of them, they can fight the case for themselves. Benny is one of them. He said this, and he walked out. He was a very nice guy, actually. I met many nice ones,
Yeah.
But I also met many cruel ones, maybe jealous, they didn't like me. Why I opened a law firm opposite the court. The only law firm in Thailand, opposite the biggest court in Thailand, was my law firm. And we had many customers, so they didn't like me.
So
some of them, yes.
What are some of the? I mean, you had a number of cases going once you became a lawyer and you were still in prison. Apart from trying to get yourself out, you also had a lot of cases for different things within the prison system, right? Like you sue the prison for the price of bananas? Is that the story?
Yeah, that was the first story. Yeah, because the bananas. I saw bananas very expensive. Everything was expensive. They make money of prisoners. But the bananas was like 100 baht and outside was 20, 25. So I started to fight about this. I said, why is it so expensive? And they brought me bananas. The guards, they brought me banana. Benny, please take this. Just keep quiet. I said, no, I'm not fighting for bananas. I'm fighting why you make it so expensive. You keep me. I said, you're extorting me. You're keeping me here for me to buy from you expensive. This is extortion. So I sued them to the court, and there was 2 banana trees in prison. I remember exactly so every time we came, bananas were hanging there. And I said, look at this country of banana, and we have to buy $3 a banana in prison. It was a lot of money that time, like 20 years ago. 100 baht for banana was
definitely inside a prison as well. So,
yes.
and
one guy in prison, Harry Nicolaides, he was there for lèse majesty, and nobody talked to him because his case was lèse majesty, and guard said nobody should talk to him, but I didn't care, so I talked to him, I took him everywhere, I defended him with any problem. So he liked me very much. So he went out, the first thing he did, he wrote this story, the most expensive bananas in the kingdom.
Yeah, this is the one I read, yeah.
Yeah, that was his first story ever. And after that story was published, was a British girl, very beautiful British girl named Sarah. She flew from England, from Sheffield, come with her family, come to see me in prison. I was like, whoa, who are you? She said, no, I want to know, who is this guy fighting for bananas in prison?
That's, I remember, well, I'm from the UK. I remember when I first traveled to Thailand, there used to be, you'd see adverts up in some of the guest houses suggesting people to go and visit people in prison and take things in and stuff like that. I never actually did it, but
Yeah,
so what happened with the banana case then? You won the case, right? You changed the price of bananas.
Yeah, they changed it. Then banana went down to 30 or 40 baht. Not only banana, many things, because there are too many problems. Everything is only business there, Nothing is about prisoners. It's just how to make money from the prisoners. It's about that. And that was a small case. I sued them because when I sued them, I found letter, like a document, saying that every prisoner get 39 baht per day. And I was like, oh, so where is my 39 baht per day? 8 years. And they said, no, that won't be spending. I said, no, this is for food. I'm 8 years here. I've never got 39 baht. So I started to fight with them. I sued them to the court. And suddenly I found out that they have to give us toothbrush, tooth cream, many things. And one day, a big truck with full of tooth cream entered the prison and gave every prisoner boxes of toothpaste. Boxes of toothpaste. I mean, you cannot finish one toothpaste in 1 month, you know, but they give us boxes. And it was like a joke. Everybody was laughing. There's so many toothpaste, one factory of toothpaste in prison. So this was one of them. And the biggest one I did was for a chain. Yeah, to remove the chain for death row prisoners.
The chain? What do you mean, the chain?
The shackles.
Oh, the shackles. So people waiting on death row. So you managed to get that law removed, so people didn't need to be in shackles when they were waiting on death row.
Yeah, when I was sentenced to 22 years, they put shackles on me, 5 days, until I moved to the new prison, which is a higher sentence. Because the first prison is up to 15. Yeah. This one was up to life. So over there, they removed my chains. And there I was very angry, you know. I said, why? You know, I'm innocent, and they put chains on me. But in the new prison, I saw hundreds of people, hundreds had chains. So when they say taking shower, all these chain people, shackled people, they went in a queue, and the sound was like, I saw like sounds like old Greek movies, like Prisoners, you know. For me it looks like that, like 3,000 years ago. Yeah, they did this one, gladiators, you know, like this, you know. And it was for me, what are they doing with people? What did? So it was very funny. They could put on anyone they want. That, like they said, you come in, your drugs was 1 kilo, okay, you have shackle. You come in, your drugs were 100 gram, okay, small shackle. You're 10 gram, okay, no shackle. So for them, they had their own system, how to shackle people. So when I studied the law, and I studied the book, the Correctional Act, and it's a very old book. It's about 60, 70 years old, this law. So I studied, there was nothing saying there, they have right to put shackles on people. So I started to fight with them, police, hey, you have to remove the shackles. And they had shackles, big shackles. Like, I mean, even you put on elephant will die after 1 week. And they put it on a human being for 9 years, 10 years. People were living 10 years with shackles.
Jeez. So it wasn't just, in the last few months of waiting to go through for the death sentence. It was through the whole...
the prison, they put it.
Okay.
They entered the prison, they put it. But okay, the big one, they put mostly on people with very high sentences, like very high amount of drugs, and people who fought or tried to escape. They put big one. It was like punishment. It's not a restraint anymore. It's about punishment, you know. So they punish you with a chain. So even I complained to police in the area. I make a complaint, and I said to prison guard, I said, send this one to police. He said, oh, you're suing us? Said, yes, it's illegal. You cannot use these chains. No, these chains are from there. I don't know. I don't remember. They said these chains are special. I said, no, this is too big, because the law say not bigger than 15 millimeters. And this one is 40 millimeters. I mean, it's crazy. You cannot use. So after I complained to police, all these chains disappeared. First, they brought the new one, because they were really scared of me. You know, I did really cases. You know, so but still wearing chains. And then I went to death row. Okay, then I went to the court for the first time, and I sued the correction department for chains. But the court dropped the charges, said, you don't have chain. You are not allowed to sue it. Yeah. Then I went to death row people. There were 50, 60 of them. We could talk to them, you know. It was just some bars. So I said, who wants me to open a chain? I can sue it. This is illegal. Everybody said, no, no, no. And then one Malaysian guy, he told me, Benny, sue for me. I don't want his chain. I'm fed up. I said, okay, wait. After 2-3 days, I dreamed that I opened the chain for this guy. And I said, oh my God. Morning I came to him, I said, come on, So I wrote two A4 pages, just two A4 pages, and I put the law, and I sent it to the court by the prison guard. The prison guard were laughing. Benny, come on, what is this? This is the law of the country. You cannot change the law. You fight other things. I said, no, you send it. So they sent it to court, and I asked for emergency order to remove the chain while waiting for trial. So after about 2 months, the order came, said remove the chain. And whole prison was like shaking, you know, everybody was talking, everybody was shouting, what is this? And all death row prisoners angry, oh, I want to remove. You know, it was like a revolution in prison. And the guards didn't talk to me anymore. So after 1 week, they didn't remove the chain. I went to the chief, I said, hey, why don't you remove? Benny, please, can you stop? No. So I made a letter to the court. I said, send this to court that you are violating the order by court. So they removed the chain. Same hour, they removed the chain. This is the first guy. And then the other death row people came to me and said, oh, can you open for us? I said, okay. Second one, third one. Then I said, okay, you sign all of you my case. I cannot write one by one. So when I sent cases to the court, one day I came back from I was out to another court. I came back. They removed all death row prisoners out to another prison just to get rid of me, you know. So they changed all of them. They couldn't change me. Yeah, so they changed about 70, 60, all of them.
I mean, it's, you know, when you say that, when you're telling these stories, I mean, you did some really cool stuff, and you know, you got some good changes made from within prison. But when you make that comment about, you know, they got rid of those people to get rid of you, I mean, yeah. I'm surprised that you just didn't end up in a situation where someone got rid of you. Did you have any real kind of life-threatening situations? I mean, I imagine there's many. What were some of those situations that are just memories you probably don't want to dwell on, but what are the times that you just can't forget, you know, where you were in danger?
Yeah, I'm a fighter, you know. I was doing Muay Thai, everything, you know, so I'm not afraid of fighting. But they came like 10 people, and they were all hired by the officers. So officers kept quiet. So they broke my nose. I had to operate it when I came out for 150,000 baht just to be able to breathe, you know. My teeth are not straight. I still cannot chew because they beat me. And, you know, I closed the prison one time. We made demonstration. 2,000 prisoners closed the prison. So when everything was finished, they pressured 40, 50 prisoners to beat me. And they attacked me when I was moving. So I just remember, I thought I was dead, you know, I just, boom. And then when I woke up, it was everywhere blood and mouse. I couldn't eat 1 month, just drink. So yeah, my head, many scars, many stitches.
You didn't back down. I mean, I don't know. I imagine your upbringing had something to do with this, right? Because you spent time in prison when you were young, right, with your family fleeing. Like you're originally Persian, but then ended up in Sweden. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
So I imagine that toughened you up somewhat. The kind of upbringing you had as a kid.
Yeah, I think so. I have a problem. I'm never afraid of anything, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
crazy, you know, motorcycles, a little problem with the brain, you know. So I've always been troublemaker, you know. Always in my family, I'm the troublemaker.
I mean, that is if you go 9 years into nine years, 8 months in a Thai prison, that probably is a bit of a problem. But you've come out and you've done well, so you came out the other side.
Yes. No, when I was in prison, I saw many prisoners sitting, smoking different drugs. But for me, it was my area. Nobody could come in. I said, this is my area. Books. Everyone's books, you know. I think the reason that I was innocent made me strong, because I knew someday I should get this guy. I should get the police, you know. I was thinking all the time. The first time I went to court, I saw the guy was there, you know, and I said, one day I will get you. I told him, one day I will get you. I don't know why, you know, I just told him. Because I know, you know, think yourself, you are sitting here and somebody say you robbed in Bangkok. Would you accept it? And
of course.
Believe me, this makes you strong, you know. Many innocent people in prison, they get strong. I've seen stories, you know. because they believe you. I don't know, some human nature maybe.